In modern finance, hundreds of millions of dollars can vanish in a fraction of a second. Whether it is a massive decentralized cryptocurrency bridge or a legacy financial institution, security teams routinely wake up to find their vaults completely empty. The public first caught a glimpse of this highly coordinated threat back in 2014 when attackers breached the corporate networks of Sony Pictures. They paralyzed the studio's computers, deleted critical data, and leaked unreleased films onto the public internet. The ambition quickly scaled beyond corporate sabotage and into the heart of traditional nation-state fiat systems. In 2016, attackers infiltrated the Bangladesh bank and hijacked the SWIFT network, the messaging system global banks use to securely transfer money, successfully siphoning $81 million after an initial attempt to steal nearly $1 billion. Forensic analysis of these breaches reveals a highly structured, state-sponsored cyber army utilizing specialized units like the Lazarus Group, APT-38, and Blue Noroff. The origin point for these attacks was Pyongyang. This presents a paradox. North Korea is one of the most technologically isolated and sanctioned nations on Earth. Much of the country lacks basic internet access or reliable electricity, yet they possess the capability to execute the most lucrative digital heists in recorded history. A financially starved regime has successfully turned malicious code into a silent weapon for wealth extraction. These early breaches revealed a new blueprint for statecraft, using digital infiltration to siphon massive amounts of capital from the global economy without ever deploying a single soldier. Popular culture usually depicts hacking as a frantic sprint, someone in a dark room rapidly typing to smash through a firewall. The reality of a Lazarus operation is agonizingly slow. It relies on extreme patience and a deep understanding of human psychology. Instead of casting a wide net to see who falls for a scam, these operatives use a tactic called spear phishing. This involves extensively researching a specific target's digital life and professional ambitions, then crafting highly personalized communications designed entirely to manipulate that one individual. This diagram illustrates how the targeting works. Rather than attacking the heavily fortified digital vault directly, the hackers isolate a single developer within a crypto firm's corporate structure. Posing as recruiters from real tech companies, the hackers conduct multi-round job interviews, eventually offering the target a lucrative employment contract. The trap springs when the victim downloads the final contract or a required technical test. The document is laced with hidden malware. Once opened, it executes silently in the background, granting the operatives an invisible, persistent backdoor directly into the company's internal network. The firm's external defenses remain intact, but the threat is already inside. Human ambition and a momentary lapse in judgment provide the vulnerability a sanctioned regime needs to bypass billions of dollars in global cybersecurity infrastructure. Once inside, the hackers often sit quietly in the network for months. They observe internal communications, compromise software updates through supply chain attacks, and map the financial architecture until they locate the master cryptographic keys that control the funds. In the Bangladesh bank attack, the operatives learned the precise formatting of international bank transfers. They waited for a Friday when regional banks were closed and began issuing dozens of forged, highly authenticated transfer requests, carefully routing millions of dollars away from the national treasury.
Because the requests carried the correct internal credentials, they looked legitimate to the global financial system. The fraudulent orders were pushed straight through the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, instructing it to move the Bangladeshi funds into accounts controlled by the hackers. While traditional banking attacks require navigating human oversight and regulatory hold periods, modern decentralized finance offers a much faster target. In hacks like the Harmony Horizon Bridge, operatives exploit vulnerabilities in automated smart contracts, the code that governs crypto transactions. Once the hackers secure the private keys, they can drain hundreds of millions of dollars in a matter of minutes. Whether they are manipulating legacy banking architecture or weaponizing the code of cutting-edge blockchain protocols, the operative strategy is identical: execute the theft and vanish before the internal alarms even begin to ring. Pulling off the heist is only the first half of the operation. Stolen digital capital sitting on a public ledger is practically useless to Pyongyang. To buy physical goods or fund state operations, that money must be laundered and off-ramped into the real world. The initial laundering phase requires incredible speed. In fiat heists, the operatives rapidly wire funds across international borders, funneling the money through casinos or a maze of fake shell companies to obscure the origin. This diagram shows the digital equivalent, known as cryptocurrency tumbling and chain hopping. The hackers take a large stolen deposit and run it through automated mixing services, breaking the funds into thousands of microtransactions. They rapidly trade these tokens across entirely different blockchains, swapping Bitcoin for Ethereum, then Ethereum for Monero, deliberately fracturing the forensic trail. This high-speed obfuscation is designed to outpace international law enforcement. By the time investigators secure the necessary legal authority to freeze an account or block a wallet, the funds have already dissolved into the digital ether. Tracking these microscopic digital footprints requires a massive global coalition. A network of international law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and private blockchain sleuths now work around the clock to counter these operations. In the United States, the FBI dedicates specialized cyber divisions to track the distinct operational patterns and server infrastructure used by groups like APT38 and Blue Noroff, identifying the faces behind the keyboards. The U.S. Treasury utilizes this intelligence to issue targeted sanctions. They publicly blacklist compromised crypto wallets and sanction the tumbling services the hackers rely on, actively attempting to choke off the regime's financial pipelines. The United Nations regularly compiles these forensic findings to assess the economic damage. Their reports map the global scale of North Korea's cyber operations, estimating that the regime has successfully siphoned billions of dollars from the global financial system. Despite unprecedented global coordination and billions spent on global cybersecurity, these state-sponsored attacks are accelerating in both frequency and sophistication. The Lazarus Group isn't stealing for personal luxury. These stolen billions are a direct revenue stream. The capital flows straight into the isolated regime, deliberately bypassing global sanctions to fund and sustain the nation's weapons programs. What we are witnessing is a silent, ongoing geopolitical war. It is a conflict where code serves as the weapon, human psychology provides the weakness, and the global financial system has become the permanent front line.